Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
6 months had passed since Naruto learned the hard way of the ninja by killing one missing nin from Konoha. After that event, it took Naruto almost 3 days to get back to normal. Until then, he wouldn't mutter a single word to his sensei, but Jiraiya never pressed the issue, knowing that Naruto would have to deal with it on his own. In the end, Naruto came clean to Jiraiya about his fear of being compared with the Kyuubi inside of him, but then he calmed down and understood that being a ninja sometimes means being ready to take lives. He hadn't just grown emotionally but psychically too, growing up a few inches in height. His muscles were now ripped because of the resistance seals. Also, Naruto's training only increased. Surprisingly, both Naruto's speed and strength nearly doubled. Some time ago he had to stop using the restriction seals simply because he was already used to using them. Now he had to settle for weights like Lee and Guy so that his speed could increase in time. He now managed to give Jiraiya a run for his money in straight-out taijutsu match, and that was saying something about his training. His training regimen was going nicely since his taijutsu portion was almost completed. Of course, after that, he and Jiraiya would spar on occasion, but Naruto's taijutsu was now on par with a high-level Chunin, bearing on low Junin level. Now, because of Naruto's regimen, Naruto was learning about Genjutsu, or rather what it takes to break one at least. Jiraiya learned a long time ago that when Naruto's high chakra capacity gives an advantage in both ninjutsu and taijutsu, but he just couldn't use Genjutsu effectively. The reason was simple. Genjutsu requires almost perfect chakra control to be able to use it, and it consists of using a steady flow of chakra and invading the opponent's chakra system, thus beginning the illusion. But as much as Naruto practices his chakra control, he simply has too much chakra to be able to control it effectively up to the point of being able to perform Genjutsu. However, that didn't mean that Genjutsu should be a weakness for him. Learning how to disrupt the chakra flow was vital to keep the technique from doing any major harm on the ninja's mind and chakra flow. Right now, Jiraiya was taking Naruto once again to a little canal that crossed the village where they were staying. Okay Naruto, now that the taijutsu portion is over, Genjutsu is now the next issue. As you know, though, your chakra capacity doesn't allow you to perform Genjutsu, so this will be reduced to learning how to dispel Genjutsu effectively. As you know or don't know, Genjutsu techniques affect the user's chakra flow, thus tempering with all 5 senses depending on the technique and the Genjutsu uses will. So, there are 2 ways of disrupting the technique. The first one, and I believe is the most effective, is to disrupt your chakra flow, said Jiraiya, before looking at Naruto and smile upon seeing his puzzled look. Ero-sensei, I only understand English, so please explain it to me in said language, said Naruto, earning a snort from Jiraiya, who then explained it better. Disrupting your chakra flow is actually the first step, but the other part will explain it later. Now, in order to disrupt your chakra flow, you just need to simply stop the flow of your chakra. Imagine you're standing on water. You're using chakra to even its flow below your feet, right? Well, imagine you simply stopping the flow of chakra. What will happen? Asked Jiraiya. That's easy, you fall in the water, responded Naruto, wondering why he need to answer such a stupid question. Right, then the next step is to apply an even stronger chakra, thus disrupting the Genjutsu technique, explained Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto before Jiraiya continued. Of course, just explaining to you is easy, but when you get to practice it, you'll see it's tougher. Don't worry, though, we'll be practicing a lot of Genjutsu disrupts and then, I'll be using you as my target. I'll be hitting you with every Genjutsu that I know and you must disrupt it at any cost. Got it? Explained Jiraiya, earning a contemplative nod from Naruto, who afterwards crossed his arms while trying to digest the information. Upon seeing this, Jiraiya smiled at his pupil. Every time Naruto didn't get the idea right away, he would accept the explanation and then try to elaborate it inside his head, thus trying to explain what needed to be done. Right now, the art of illusions was a foreign concept to the blonde, not only because it was indeed a hard subject to learn, but also because he truly didn't show much interest in the field. The theory itself is complicated enough for Naruto not to use in the midst of a fight, so just like the pervert said, he would just learn how to dispel the illusion, instead of hoping to be able to use it effectively. Now as he was processing the information inside his head, Naruto was thinking of the concept behind disrupting Genjutsu that according to Jiraiya, it consisted of disrupting the flow of chakra and then re-establishing it with a surge, thus overcoming the opponent's chakra. Problem was that if Naruto wouldn't be able to overcome the opponent's chakra, the procedure wouldn't help. Ero-sensei, I was wondering about something. You said that after disrupting the chakra flow, I have to re-establish it with a surge, thus overpowering the opponent's chakra, but what can I do if the enemy's chakra is more powerful than mine? Asked Naruto, to which Jiraiya nodded and explained. Indeed, some Genjutsu masters managed to overcome the dispelling technique, so it would be useless to use it. In that case, there are two other alternatives. One of them you could use when you're alone against someone, but I wouldn't use it if I were you, said Jiraiya, earning a look in confusion from Naruto, before he elaborated further. Immeasurable pain enables the illusion to fade almost instantly, but the cost is way too high. Therefore I'd say it's forbidden, explained Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto, who then asked from the next alternative that didn't involve sticking a kunai on his thigh. Well, the next alternative is using a foreign chakra to invade your body and end the Genjutsu. So, in other words, you'd need an ally in battle for that, explained Jiraiya, hearing a snort afterwards from Naruto. So, basically, if the first alternative doesn't work, I'm basically screwed and would have to depend on someone else to aid me. Great, said Naruto with bare sarcasm, but Jiraiya simply smiled and acknowledged Naruto's blunt expression. Don't worry much about it, Naruto. After we train Genjutsu, you'll know almost instantly that someone is casting on you, having even better chances of breaking it. Also, Genjutsu masters decreased since the last war, so apart from the Uchiha, there won't be much Genjutsu uses, explained Jiraiya, but he knew Naruto wouldn't even hear the rest. Some time ago, Naruto declared war against what was left of the Uchiha clan. Sasuke almost killed him because of selfish reasons, and Itachi is after the Kyuubi living within him. I have to be prepared in case either Sasuke or Itachi uses a Genjutsu on me. I heard that Itachi has the supreme Genjutsu that's impossible to break. Is it true? Asked Naruto, earning a nod from Jiraiya. There are few things that are impossible these days, and Itachi's Tsukuyomi is impossible to break. To beat him, you have to stop resorting on your eyes to fight, or either find a way to avoid direct eye contact. Such Genjutsu do not even require a strong mind either. You enter an alternative world where he controls everything, and trust me, he knows how to break anyone like he managed to break Kakashi's mind. You do remember that only Tsunade was able to heal him, don't you? Asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto. So, how can I hope to go against him if he could simply look at me and I'm finished? Snarled Naruto, since he didn't know the answer. Facing Itachi alone was one thing he wouldn't ever do. Well, Naruto, let's focus on today, alright? You are miles away from having the strength needed to face him. We'll train your Genjutsu abilities, okay? Asked Jiraiya, to which Naruto nodded as they continued to walk towards the little river. At Takagakure . Unlike many hidden villages, Takagakure was considered the invisible city simply because it was virtually impossible for someone who wasn't a villager to know where the city was located. For this reason, that their shinobi placed one condition for hosting their first Chunin exams. Also, it served to be the first phase of the exams, since in order for the teams to arrive, they must find their way through the mountain in order to reach the village. The problem was that because the caves inside the mountain had so much earthquakes, the pathways that lead to the village would change, thus protecting them from enemy invasions. That being said, only those highly experienced in the shinobi arts would be able to progress to the next part of the exam. In the village's arena, only 5 teams managed to pass the pathways from the 20 that tried. Of course, the Chunin hopefuls signed a waiver, so the village would be safe from some old beings from some village's council blaming Takagakure for deliberately killing their genin. Sakura, Shino, Kiba, Tenten, Neji and Lee were waiting for their matches to start, as they were watching a Tsunade genin battling against one from Kiri. Due to clan circumstances, both Hinata and Ino were unable to participate, and since Ino couldn't go, Tsunade couldn't find a team to place Chuji in. Ever since Naruto left the village, the Konoha 9 trained themselves to the brick of exhaustion. The goal was to pass the next Chunin exams at all cost. Sakura studied under both Tsunade and Shizune and was already considered a prodigy on the medic field. Plus, the fact that both her agility and strength nearly quadrupled. A couple months prior to the Chunin exams, she managed to master Tsunade's taijutsu technique and even managed to use to break a couple of boulders that were meant to end her team's life in the caves. Also, since she filled Hinata's place in Team 8, Kurenai managed to teach her a couple of useful genjutsu techniques for her to learn. The crimson-eyed woman was astonished at Sakura's level of chakra control and understood why she perked Tsunade-sama's interest. Of course, she didn't know that it was Naruto who asked Tsunade to accept Sakura, but still it was commendable. Shino and Kiba, after the Suna invasion, turned to their parents for more advanced family techniques, managing to learn quite a few before the Chunin exams date. Neji and Lee helped Tenten with her training with weapons and her accuracy was now better than most Chunin in Konoha. Now, however, was the real test to see if they trained hard enough to earn the title of Chunin. Looking at the arena, the genin from Suna focused Fuyutin chakra in a kunai and threw it at his enemy. The kunai was instantly compared to an arrow that pierced the sky straight towards the genin from Kiri. Seeing that dodging would be impossible, the genin from Kiri, which turned out to be a blue-haired beautiful girl called Kaori, used a Mizu Kawarimi, water substitution technique, thus escaping the deadly attack. Now turned as a puddle of water, she moved quickly to the other genin's side and materialized once more, before making hand seals, hoping that her opponent wouldn't be able to escape. Suten Suryuden no Jutsu, Water Release. Water Dragon Projectile Jutsu. The one from Suna focused upon sensing the chakra usage, but it was too late as the dragon was already hot on his tail, hitting him dead on. The man was unconscious even before hitting on the ground. Up in the stands, all ninjas applauded the girl from her mastery in Suten Ninjutsu and the Konoha teams were talking amongst themselves. Wow, I wouldn't like to go against her any time soon, said Kiba, earning a nod from Shino and Sakura, while Lee only displayed his enthusiasm and Neji displayed an arrogant smile. Indeed, getting hit by the water dragon technique is tough, not because of the damage itself, but also the amount of water inside your lungs. I just hope to get a good hit on her before she uses any water techniques, stated Sakura, when the referee shouted the next match. Winner is Kaori from Kiri, the next match is between Haruno Sakura from the Leaf and Takashi from Iwa, please approach the center of the arena, shouted the referee. The pink-haired girl stiffened for a bit, before breathing slowly, thus easing the tension. Being Tsunade's apprentice, she wasn't sent much to missions, and as a result, she wasn't able to acquire much battle experience. Also, this was the first time Sakura managed to advance to the final stage, so she wasn't used to battling in front of a crowd. So she wasn't so comfortable upon thinking that all eyes were on her. She learned from her sensei Tsunade that the job of the medic nin is often the most dangerous while on a mission. The reason was that they had to concentrate on keeping a constant flow of chakra to heal the wounded while hearing the worst distractions, kind of like explosions and battle cries. She remembered an exercise where she needed to heal someone that suffered a flesh wound from a kunai while fake enemies would use all sorts of flashy jutsus with the purpose of losing her concentration. This is nothing compared to Izumo and Kotetsu senpai's noises while I was trying the exercise. Man, those two could be annoying when they want to be. Now, I must focus on my opponent and my opponent only, thought Sakura as she eyed Takashi in front of her, who in turn was smiling from ear to ear. Probably thinking it would be an easy fight to win, Sakura snorted. With time, her rather active personality only increased, and there were times when she just wanted to punch someone right in the face. Guess, he will lose that smile of his after I break his teeth, SHANNARO. Sakura was ready when the referee authorized the fight's beginning, however Takashi found it entertaining and now was laughing even harder. Please girlie, don't make me laugh, how a petite girl like you managed to come this far, it's unknown to me, no matter, you won't go further, that I can assure you, said Takashi, earning a snort from Sakura. She was going to reply, but she was cut short when she heard someone screaming, before turning to see Tenten being held by Lee while cursing quite a number of names on Takashi from diminishing women compared to men. Smiling, she closed her eyes and looked at Takashi, before offering her reply. I feared you'd talk as much as your mouth is big. It's quite annoying if you ask me. Don't insinuate that because I'm a girl, that you will have an easy time beating me. Trust me, when this fight is over, I'm sure you'll change your way of thinking concerning the opposite sex, said Sakura, before seeing Takashi smile and closing his eyes, showing that he didn't believe a single word the girl said. However, a second later, the man would forever think twice before laughing at Kunoiki. Takashi didn't even open his eyes and he immediately felt immeasurable pain on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw Sakura's fist practically piercing his skull, before his body was somersaulted throughout the stadium. Takashi flipped his body using the momentum, before looking at Sakura with mixed feelings, surprise and anger. He never felt such pain before and surprisingly, for him, it came from a girl. The reason for his anger was being caught by surprise. "You fucking whore, how dare you? Now you're dead," said Takashi as he initiated a series of hand seals. Goten Doryu Dango, Earth Release. Mausoleum Earth Dumpling Jutsu. Instantly, Takashi smashed his hands on the ground and lifted a huge boulder, before throwing it straight at Sakura. The boulder wasn't as big as to incorporate the entire stadium, so Sakura managed to evade the attack, before throwing 4 shuriken at Takashi. The man sneered at the attack and grabbed a kunai to deflect them all easily. However, Sakura wouldn't let him as she began her series of hand seals for the Dokugiri technique. Takashi cursed the incoming black cloud, but Sakura's plan worked since Takashi forgot about the incoming shuriken, which then pierced his flesh. The man's screams of pain echoed throughout the entire stadium and immediately forfeited the match from fear of dying from blood loss. Seeing this, Sakura ended the poison smoke technique and landed on the ground only to hear the referee voicing her victory. From the furthest corner of the stadium, Sakura could see the judges smiling at her display, which she assumed would qualify her for upgrading her in rank. With Naruto . Obviously oblivious to Sakura's abilities, Naruto was training how to counter Genjutsu techniques. More specifically, Naruto and his clones were training how to counter Genjutsu. Naruto's clones were perfect for chakra-related techniques since they could transfer knowledge back to the real one. Physical training, though, Naruto had to do on his own, but that he already got covered. Since his chakra capacity only grew with time, Naruto was able to fill the lake with clones, earning a lot of complaints from the local villagers because they couldn't use the lake for their needs like washing their clothes or gather some water for cooking. Seeing this, Jiraiya called all the Narutos to a halt, since the boy also needed the rest, even though the blonde never complained. "Oi Naruto, come here for a second, I want to talk to you," shouted Jiraiya, earning a gathered scream from the blondes, before they began to dispel one by one. It actually took a while for all of them to leave, but the results were instant. "What's up, Ero-sensei? I believe I almost got it covered with the Kage Bunshin training," gloated Naruto, earning a nod in acknowledgement from Jiraiya who, then, took a sit on the ground, ushering Naruto to do the same. "Naruto, I've been thinking about your schedule of training and ways to increase your training," said Jiraiya, instantly picking Naruto's interest, before the pervert elaborated. "With your Kage Bunshin training, you managed to train close to 4 months' worth of Genjutsu. The only issue left is to practice for real. Now, I have a proposition for you," explained Jiraiya. "What kind of proposition are you talking? Is it a new jutsu?" asked Naruto, earning a chuckle from Jiraiya, who couldn't help but feel that way upon seeing Naruto's eagerness to become stronger. "I'm talking about improving your Rasengan," said Jiraiya, but instead of seeing the usual glimpse in Naruto's eyes, he saw confusion. "Ero-sensei, I've already learned how to use the Rasengan single-handed. What more is there to learn about it?" asked Naruto, earning a snort from Jiraiya. "Kid, the Rasengan was the 4th prize technique together with the Hiraishin. For your information, it took him nearly 3 years to create the Rasengan. Do you really think you managed to complete the technique after only using it for a little over 6 months? Using the technique in one hand was actually a handicap you needed to overcome. The power behind your spiraling ball didn't change at all, it just became faster to create. Do you see where I'm going with this?" asked Jiraiya, earning a subtle nod from Naruto. "So you're saying that I can control the force of the technique?" asked Naruto, before he saw Jiraiya suddenly extending his arm and create a normal-sized Rasengan. "Watch closely, Naruto," said Jiraiya, as he focused on the technique. As he watched, Naruto wondered if he was seeing things as the spiraling sphere was growing in size right in front of him. It didn't take long until the sphere doubled its size. Seeing the astonished look from the blonde, Jiraiya smirked, before explaining the concept behind the technique. "Naruto, as you know, to do the Rasengan, both chakra rotation and force are condensed, forming a sphere. So in theory, you need to increase the speed and the force behind the technique while maintaining the sphere shape, explained Jiraiya, before seeing the face of shock from Naruto. He expected as much, since the concept itself took Minato 3 years to create. Sounds difficult, muttered Naruto as he considered the idea inside his mind. No, Naruto, it sounds impossible. But while for others it is nearly impossible, for you is just difficult, seeing as you can use the cage bunshin to train. But, let's worry about this another time, for now we'll test Genjutsu attacks on you and it will be up to you to break them, got it, said Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto. I'll begin with AD ranked illusion and then I'll increase to AC level. The higher the rank, the more chakra is used, thus you have to overcome the amount of chakra I'm using, okay, asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto who put up some distance between him and the pervert, before nodding once more. Jiraiya understood the cue and molded his chakra with the simplest illusion, by using the rat seal. Magen Narakumi no Jutsu, demonic illusion, hell viewing jutsu. Instantly, Jiraiya disappeared and instead the demon fox itself appeared before Naruto, showing his hell viewing, aka the Kyuubi's escape. The demon grabbed Naruto with his claws and was about to eat the blonde when Naruto began the sequence for disrupting Genjutsu. First, he stopped his chakra flow and then he immediately flooded his chakra coils with his chakra. Kai. Jiraiya appeared in front of him smiling at Naruto from managing to break AD ranked Genjutsu. Nicely done Naruto, now let's see the higher level illusions. Remember, the higher the technique, it will take an even higher amount of your chakra to overcome my illusion. Now let's see you overcoming AC ranked illusion. Try increasing your chakra even more than the amount you used for the D ranked Genjutsu. Let's go, said Jiraiya, before initiating a different series of hand seals and molding the necessary chakra for Kori Shinchu no Jutsu, Sly Mind Effect Jutsu. Now, Naruto saw the landscape in front of him slowly falling upon him and he wondered what type of illusion this was. He remembered Jiraiya explaining that illusions are powerful allies of a ninja. Since with them, pain, suffering, grief, fear, all negative emotions could be transferred to the opponent and make him suffer everything simultaneously. He once again began the technique needed for disrupting the technique, but since the mountain would take some time to fall down on him, he had time to test how much chakra is needed to overcome AC ranked Genjutsu. He used the amount he used for the D ranked one, but this time it wasn't enough as the mountain kept falling on him. Once again, he began the sequence, only this time he used a larger quantity of chakra, before the real mountain appeared in front of him. Good Naruto, very good, it's okay to use this opportunity to test how much chakra is needed, but in a real fight, be sure to know that the enemy won't give you time to use a counter. When we spar once more, we'll be able to use all 3 forms of ninja arts and by that time, you'll be able to disrupt the technique before it actually starts. Next one, is the B-ranked Genjutsu, and for now on Naruto, the illusions are powerful enough and susceptible to inflict mental trauma if the mind is weak. Focus on the objective and don't face the illusion like it was real. Okay? Asked Jiraiya, to which Naruto nodded, before the pervert began a complicated series of hand seals for Magen Jigoku Guka, demonic illusion, Hellfire Jutsu. After Jiraiya stopped with the last seal, Naruto expected for the illusion to begin, except that nothing happened. Jiraiya was just standing there with his eyes focused and with his hands doing the last hand seal. Suddenly, though, the temperature began to increase exponentially. When Naruto looked up, though, he regretted this decision forever as a huge fireball engulfed him in milliseconds, burning his skin. Naruto knew this was an illusion, hell he saw Jiraiya doing it, but the pain was so much unbearable that he couldn't focus on the disruption technique. All he could do right now was to scream from the pain. Upon seeing this, Jiraiya had to stop the technique from fear of further damaging Naruto's mind. Naruto was in so much pain that even though Jiraiya broke the illusion, he kept screaming as his memory believed he was still burning to death. It took Jiraiya to shake him a couple of seconds to wake him up from the nightmare that was to burn down. Naruto, are you okay? Answer me, please, shouted Jiraiya, but the only response he got was Naruto shakily nodding his head in acknowledgement. It's better that we stop for now, let's head to where we're staying so you can rest, advised Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto who had to be carried by the old Sanin since his legs were shaking a lot. Hours later, Jiraiya was staring at the fireplace of the hotel inn they were staying as he remembered the scene before his eyes. The genjutsu that he used on Naruto was only B-ranked chakra-wise, but but the effects can lead to an A-ranked illusion if the opponent never faced it before. Jiraiya's concern was that perhaps, Naruto has been training so much that he didn't have the chance to simply wander around a little, take in the sights, or even have a bath at the onsen. Jiraiya wondered if he should cut some of the blonde's slack. It wasn't that Naruto complained about the overload of training, which he never did, but what happened today was, clearly, a result from fatigue. The pain was unbearable for sure, but Naruto just couldn't train all the time during these 3 years. It wasn't long until Jiraiya heard some footsteps coming his way. He didn't need to turn to see who was making the noise as the person just seated next to the pervert, but for some reason couldn't meet eye to eye. Don't worry about it, Naruto. Genjutsu, sometimes, can deal more damage than ninjutsu and taijutsu combined. The key to a powerful genjutsu is to attack the very mind of the user, making him see, hear or feel things that aren't there. Also, if you don't want to feel prey to it ever again, you'll need to have a strong mind, or strong resolve to settle your differences and griefs in life. The only reason genjutsu is able to affect us so much, is because we can't help but be human, we all have emotions, we all suffer from them. It's inevitable, said Jiraiya as he looked at the blonde's eyes for a while. I know that somewhat, but if I want to fight in Uchiha, I have to get accustomed to genjutsu attacks. I'd be damned if either Sasuke or Itachi just look at me and the fight is over, explained Naruto, earning a nod from Jiraiya. We'll have plenty of time to train you in that area, amongst others as well, so please do not worry. Rest for today and we'll give another try at the genjutsu later on, said Jiraiya, but Naruto's face was clear to Jiraiya. Every time the Sannin mentioned the word rest, Naruto would just shove it and say he needed to train harder. Jiraiya once remembered how he had to use a genjutsu to get the blonde to sleep. Naruto, I'm serious this time. I told you that resting your body after a stressful exercise is imperative. You don't want me to use that technique once more, do you? I'll use it if it means to slow you down somehow, stated Jiraiya, to which Naruto snorted, but said nothing at first. He then turned toward his bed and simply walked for a while, before turning to face Jiraiya. I guess I'll go to sleep, then. Good night, Ero-sensei, said Naruto, to which Jiraiya nodded. Don't worry, Naruto, you'll be stronger in no time, rest up kid, and tomorrow we'll take a look at the new Rasengan we talked about, said Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto, who then continued to walk towards his bed. In Konoha . Looking at the ceiling for what seemed like forever, Wanazuki Yugao tried hard to remember what happened for her to be back at the hospital. Didn't matter though to her, as in a matter of seconds, everything that happened in her last S-ranked mission came flooding her mind. She remembered the war-like missions she threw herself in and the number of opponents she faced pretty much alone. She even remembered being hit so much in the ribs that she passed out right there on the field. It was good that she had at least someone to rescue her, or else she wouldn't be alive right now. That was the thing though. Yugao thought oftentimes about what she could do to end her misery, and going through high-risk missions seemed like an honored way to go and in the same time, get to join her lover in heaven. Geku Hayate died trying to warn Konoha from the impeding sand sound invasion in Konoha, but on the way, he engaged in battle against a sand Chunin who used an elemental blade and killed him. At the time, Yugao saw his limp body for a while, but she couldn't cry. After all, she belonged to the most prestigious ninja order in Konoha, but while she couldn't cry throughout the mission, she could at least have some time alone to do that once she goes to sleep alone in his apartment. So many memories of her lover were impregnated throughout her life and personal belongings that she couldn't forget his death and move on with her life. Friends already tried to encourage her into moving on, she even remembered the Hokage advising her into stop getting herself killed all those times, but she just couldn't. Being a strong ninja like herself, eventually the only way for her to vent her frustration was going on mission after mission. Looking to the left, she saw her belongings and got out of bed to collect them, however because of spending so much time in bed, her entire body ached to no end. Plus her ribs were still hurting. Man, those Iwanins hit hard. I can still feel his feet hitting my stomach hard. I guess I'll have to do some routine missions for the time being and then I can ask for a tougher mission, thought Yugao as she grabbed her cat mask and placed, before opening the door to her room, and disappeared before the nurse could come and check up her health, just like all the other times Yugao had to heal. With Naruto . When the first ray of sunshine entered the room, Jiraiya opened his eyes after a nice drunken sleep. Well, actually, he was already feeling the hangover, but the sleep was fantastic. He was only waiting, though, to hear the same thing he hears all the time. Kage bunshin no jutsu. There it is, thought Jiraiya as he smiled. Every day, Naruto would wake up sooner and do some light workout by summoning some clones and fight against them in straight taijutsu. Getting up, Jiraiya dressed up and head straight outside to see Naruto fighting off against 10 of his clones. Usually, Jiraiya would be surprised to see such a display of taijutsu, but after seeing for God knows how long, he ceased to be amazed. Naruto with one roundhouse kick followed by one reverse kick on the other side managed to dispel 3 of his clones and another 2 of them were already on his tail, obliging him to use his arms to defend against the barrage of punches that soon followed. However, the best defense is offense, so Naruto kept defending the punches for a while before seeing an opening given by one of the clones, thus aiming a straight punch at the clone's nose, thus dispelling him. The other one was surprised and looked to the smoke next to him, allowing Naruto to land a reverse kick on the last clone's ribs. Looking at the pervert from afar, Naruto dispelled the rest of the clones and ran straight to his teacher. "Good morning, Ero-sensei," greeted Naruto, but now displaying a much healthier smile which was noted by Jiraiya. "Good morning, Naruto, I see you are already warmed up for today, let's begin with the Rasengan training, then," said Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto who instantly summoned a couple hundred Kage Bunshins, before all of them screamed the word, "Ready," in unison. Good, now leave the clones to the Rasengan for now Naruto, I want to try something with you, if I may, said Jiraiya, earning a nod from the real one before he turned to the clones and nodded at him, before turning once again to Jiraiya as the clones began to form the Rasengan and then expand its shape. Jiraiya for his part, smiled at Naruto's large chakra capacity before looking down on the real one. "Naruto, I want to see if you're able to utilize a weapon in combat," stated Jiraiya. "What kind of weapon?" asked Naruto, though the subject was interesting. He had to fight Iriwa Nin 2 months ago and the man had a bow staff to compete. The image of the opponent blocking all the shadow shuriken made Naruto eager to know about the art of the bow staff. Other weapons, though, weren't that much interesting. He could take care of himself with a kunai or even a nodaki, small sword, but he wouldn't even bother to learn a katana or kodashi. Upon looking at Jiraiya, the man gave the answer. "I have with me here stored either a katana or a bow staff. Which one do you like to learn?" asked Jiraiya, knowing that the answer was obvious. Naruto chose the bow staff, right on the spot. "Good choice, Naruto, I could even teach you my sensei's style of fighting." Sarutobi Hiruzen was considered a master in the art, said Jiraiya, smiling at the boy's choice, but Naruto smiled even further upon realizing just to whom was Jiraiya referring. "You mean to say that I can learn the old man's style? Ain't that sort of clan secret? What if the Sarutobi clan finds out?" asked Naruto, receiving a nod from Jiraiya. "My sensei's bow staff style is free to all those who wishes to learn how to use this weapon, Naruto. Besides, he would have gladly taught you in person, in case he knew you wanted to. Now, here is the scroll for you to read before you sleep for later training. Now, join your clones for the Rasengan training," said Jiraiya, to which Naruto nodded, before extending his hands and forming the energy sphere from thin air. In Konoha . The moon started to rise in Konoha as the lights were slowly appearing throughout the village. The stores beginning to close and the bars and restaurants were beginning to open for the lovers, friends and family to frequent. Both civilians and shinobi filled the streets with life and joy as they wandered out places. One Anbu operative, though, wasn't so thrilled to be coming home after 3 months of risked assignments. After leaving the hospital, Yugao's team did some security scouts throughout the village territory before being freed by the Anbu commander since she was still in recovery from the last mission. To say the truth, though, she didn't want to return to her apartment. It was always empty now because of her lover's death and she didn't want to sleep alone. Of course, she slept alone outside the village amongst missions, but it was different since she didn't have to stare at her empty bed where she and her soon-to-be husband shared so many moments together. Sometimes, she would even sleep on the sofa from fear of having nightmares of Hayat's death. The doctor said once that plenty of rest would speed her recovery, but he neglected to take into consideration that Yugao wasn't able to sleep more than 2 to 3 hours before nightmares begin to plague her mind. The neighbors even commented about the fact that Yugao would scream Hayat's name repeatedly after one of the worst nightmares she ever had. "I'm tired, but what will happen once I close my eyes? I can't help but want to feel its body close to me. It was the only thing that comforted me enough to fall asleep, but now he's gone from my life, thought Yugao as she took off her Anbu clothes, revealing a beauty not seen in many kunoichi. It could better be described as a goddess amongst women. Her beautiful purple hair in perfect synchronization with her beautiful brown eyes and her smooth skin. Clearly any men who managed to get a look at her would be thankful just by looking. But she didn't leave it for long, putting some light clothes and try to sleep early. With Naruto The Rasengan training, surprisingly, took longer than expected. Ever since Naruto began using the Kage Bunshin, nearly 4 hours passed for him to be able to expand the size of the Rasengan. It was without time, though, as a minute later, Naruto would simply pass out from chakra loss. He was able to expand the Rasengan at least 4 times to what he was able to do, and the ball now was twice the size Jiraiya's normal Rasengan appeared. The damage, of course, increased exponentially as Naruto slammed it on a small hill. He managed to create a 10 feet in diameter tunnel all the way to the other side, before passing out in the middle of it. Now, Jiraiya was carrying the blonde back to the hotel with a proud expression of his face. Training with clones did wonders for Naruto, and in little more than 6 months, Naruto already increased his taijutsu, genjutsu and the Rasengan abilities to at least a high Chunin. By the end of the year, Naruto would learn how to use the bow staff effectively and then, finally, begin wind elemental manipulation. Jiraiya was so enthusiastic that he began to consider teaching Naruto a second affinity on the 3rd year, maybe Doton or Suton. Naruto and Jiraiya were walking on a plain field as the sun was just about to set. The 1st year was already at its end and Naruto managed to finish his genjutsu training to at least acceptable levels. Clearly, he wasn't cut out for the art of illusions, but at least he would be able to escape from almost any technique that someone casted on him. After the genjutsu part, Naruto focused his entire team on physical exercises in order to build some muscles and stamina. Both his muscles and height grew and now Naruto was almost reaching Jiraiya's neck. The pervert was surprised by Naruto's sudden growth, but then he suspected it had something to do with not eating so much ramen all the time, instead eating healthy food. Another part of Naruto's training revolved towards learning the katas of Sarutobi's clan style. Naruto received a present from Jiraiya, a unique staff, made with heavy metal for bigger impact. The weapon was black with silver at each end. At first, Naruto appeared to be swinging the weapon like a drunk civilian, but with practice, Jiraiya could very well see that Naruto managed to use the weapon as if it was an extension of his body. The style consisted of using the staff together with body movements that would improve the weapon's speed and more deadly, and Naruto was well in his way to learn one of the Sandaime Hokage's many legacies. Also, the staff was special since Naruto could use chakra to diminish its size and keep it like a sword strapped on his back. Because of this, he could very well surprise the enemy by using chakra to elongate the weapon. Right now, the pervert was massaging his bruised left cheek and Naruto could only sigh in dismay seeing that his sensei would never learn his lesson. Every time they would walk inside a village, they had to leave not because of danger that Akatsuki would find them, but rather escaping from the women's wrath after spotting the pervert peeping on them. "Oi Naruto, let's settle for today, it's already night and it's not wise to travel in the dark," said Jiraiya, earning a snort from Naruto, who knew that he just wanted to stop to put some ice on the wound so that it would stop hurting. "Okay Ero-sensei, but at least admit that your abilities in peeping greatly diminished these days. Almost every village we've been to, you were discovered and we had to run away," laughed Naruto, before receiving a punch in the head from Jiraiya. "Oh, what was that for, Ero-sensei?" asked Naruto, though he was smiling inside from being able to irritate his teacher. "That's for making fun of the abilities of the almighty Gama Sennin, brat. Now, let's fix up the tent and gather some wood," said Jiraiya, before smiling upon seeing Naruto mumbling some curse words to the Sannin, while looking for some wood to ignite a fireplace. After everything was set, Jiraiya used a small Kaiten jutsu and lit up the fire. "Ero-sensei, how long before we meet that friend of yours? What is his name again?" asked Naruto as he was lying down on the ground while looking at the stars. It somehow eased Naruto to look at the sky at night. He would be lost in trying to look at the constellations that Jiraiya once taught him, but it was relaxing nonetheless. Jiraiya smiled at his prodigy pupil. In the beginning of this journey, Jiraiya sometimes confused Naruto with Namikaze Minato, simply because of the drive both had towards training and improving their abilities. However, with time, Jiraiya managed to separate their personalities simply because Naruto was more of a prankster than Minato, often playing jokes with the Sannin, a trait that Naruto's mother had. His name is Makoto Sujiro and he lives in a village close to the desert that separates Fire Country from Wind Country. In actuality, he is now a retired shinobi, but the man was responsible for great deeds for Suna in his prime. Some say that his Fuyutin skills rivaled none and even say that he could have become Kazekage if he so pleased. He'll be more than adequate to teach you the art of wind ninjutsu, explained Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto as he flipped a dango stick in his mouth. I wonder, though, if I will be able to use the element effectively. I've read a book that said that Fuyutin ninjutsu was hard to learn and even harder to master in order to be used in battle effectively, wondered Naruto, but Jiraiya only smiled before explaining to Naruto. Indeed, wind uses were rare in this world because of those reasons. However, for those who manages to learn the element, that information alone sends an opponent on edge. Wind is the most feared element in all the elemental nations, Naruto. It serves both as close and middle range, and anyone who dares to face a wind user will most certainly lose. The only weakness, though, is long-ranged, but you don't have to worry about it. Long-range users are easy to beat, once you know the most important thing, explained Jiraiya, before Naruto turned his attention to Jiraiya. Those who can only attack from a distance are rendered useless when the opponent learns how to get closer, meaning that once you eliminate the distance between you and a long-range fighter, he's done for and have to adapt his fighting skills, said Jiraiya, earning a nod in acceptance from Naruto. As times passed, student and sensei continued to talk about the difference between close and long-range fighting and how to use the opponent's strength against him. It didn't take long for them to say goodnight to each other as Naruto stayed on guard until Jiraiya would relieve him in 4 hours. The next day. After erasing all evidence of their presence, Jiraiya and Naruto moved towards the place where they would be for at least a couple of months. Naruto didn't know, but Jiraiya did already converse with Sujiro regarding the blonde's training in Fuyutin ninjutsu. Sujiro showed interest in training the boy at the time, since he knew from Jiraiya that the boy was strong-willed enough to learn everything about wind ninjutsu. After a couple hours walking, the desert appeared in the horizon, meaning that the two were near from the destination. However, Naruto was confused upon seeing that Jiraiya stopped and was looking for something. "Ero-sensei, what are you doing?" asked Naruto, but Jiraiya offered no response, instead just smiled before beginning an intricate set of seals. The seal sequence took longer than Naruto thought, and suddenly Jiraiya slammed his hands on the ground with force. The result stunned Naruto as the image shifted from a plain field to a 2-story house with a considerable garden. After seeing it, Naruto did the only thing he could at the moment. He let his chin fall and the mouth open at the possibility of such a thing. Making a house disappear using chakra was something out of this world, Naruto thought. Jiraiya for his part laughed hard at Naruto's fish face and explained about the art of seals and its uses. He stopped short, though, when he heard a voice echoing in the shadows. "It's been a long time, Jiraiya-san. I've received your messenger hawk," said the voice, but Naruto couldn't find the person's location, since the voice was simply all around. Suddenly, an old but imposing figure appeared holding a simple wooden staff. Gray hair just like Jiraiya, but short. Sujiro was just as big as the Sannin, Naruto wondered. "It's good to see you too, Sujiro-san. I see that time has been kind to you, my friend," smiled Jiraiya, earning a snort from Sujiro. It was common fact, at least for Jiraiya, that just like Orochimaru, Sujiro didn't appreciate the consequences of getting old. "I wouldn't go to the same trouble as Orochimaru to cheat death, but I can't help but agree with him that getting old is such a drag," said Sujiro, earning laughter from Jiraiya. While the elders were talking and remembering the good old days, Naruto was left standing next to Jiraiya as he seized the man upside down. Normally, the blonde would conclude by saying that he didn't look like much, but that would be his old self thinking. Naruto had enough experience as a shinobi now to never interpret what it looks like, instead of seeing the underneath. It actually took a little while for them to stop the conversation, but instead of greeting Naruto, Sujiro just turned his back to them and signaled them to follow him. After a couple of steps, Sujiro turned and began a sequence of hand seals which Naruto wondered about the similarity with Jiraiya's sequence from before. Afterwards, he slammed both hands on the ground and the landscape suddenly shifted, until Naruto couldn't see either the desert or the path behind. Jiraiya looked at his student with a smile on his face. Sujiro happens to be extremely cautious, even after retirement, it seems. With Fuinjutsu, he can hide his house so that no one can see where it is. Also, as you can see, this house doesn't belong to the usual terrain, meaning we just jumped to another dimension where the house is located, explained Jiraiya, before waiting to see Naruto screaming like crazy at the implications of what was said. Whahhhhhht. How the hell are we in another dimension? Shouted Naruto, before Sujiro began to speak on Jiraiya's behalf. Jiraiya-san said you're loud, but I thought he was joking. Well, to answer your question, it would require explaining quite a lot of theory regarding Fuinjutsu, and with the amount of experience you have now, it would be impossible for me to explain it to you and also impossible for you to fully understand. The reason why I brought you here is twofold. First, you have powerful enemies that are tracking you as we speak, and second, it will benefit your training in Fuyutan Ninjutsu. Now, come inside and we'll get to talk about how we will spend the next 4 months, said Sujiro as he turned once again to the house and stepped forward with Naruto and Jiraiya close behind. Once inside, all three of them went to a room that had a huge library of scrolls and a table in the middle for studies. Sujiro took one of the chairs and ushered his guests to do the same as he grabbed a strange object. To Naruto, it looked like simple disc shape made of glass, but for the most experienced, this was a special piece of glass. Naruto, I happen to know from Jiraiya that you possess a wind affinity. However, while it's rare in your country, it isn't in wind country. As a matter of speaking, our studies with wind jutsus have been carried out since the Shodaime Kazekige's era many years ago. I'll be explaining everything I know about the art, but first we need to know how strong is your affinity towards wind jutsus, said Sujiro, this time earning looks of surprise by Jiraiya, not only Naruto. Sujiro was expecting this, so he smiled and proceeded to explain. This object, as you know Jiraiya, is what Suna uses to find their ninja's affinities. However, for those who possesses affinity for wind, we also have a specific object that indicated how strong is said affinity, explained Sujiro, earning a nod from Jiraiya and Naruto, before the man continued to explain. The method is quite simple. Naruto only needs to focus chakra on the disc and it will be cut multiple times. The key to knowing how strong is his affinity is the numbers of cuts on the disc. Try Naruto, let's see how strong is your affinity, said Sujiro as he handed the disc to Naruto. Naruto, then, extended his hand and placed the disc on top of it, before he began to focus his chakra. Quickly, Naruto focused the necessary chakra and was surprised to see that the disc was being sliced many times. 5, 15, 20, 25 cuts total. Naruto was confused, since he didn't know if that was good or bad. Also, the look of surprise that Sujiro expressed on his face didn't tell much. Naruto could possess the strongest affinity yet or the worst. The man, though, cleared his throat and looked at Naruto while smiling. That's an odd number for someone with your experience. Most Chunin in Suna could only cut 15 times and they were already trained in the art. Jiraiya, are you sure he's from Konoha? Asked Sujiro, before seeing a nod from the pervert, before he continued. Well, then, it seems you'll be able to grasp pretty much everything that is to be taught regarding Fuyutan Ninjutsu. Now, your training will begin tomorrow, since I have yet to prepare the material necessary. So, I'll be showing you to your respective rooms and prepare some dinner for us, said Sujiro, before rising from his chair and leaving the room, followed closely by Naruto and Jiraiya. After Sujiro guided Naruto to his room, he went with Jiraiya to his room, but not without taking the opportunity to talk to the pervert. Jiraiya knew that Naruto's numbers were above average and he also knew that Sujiro was beyond impressed. The man was smart, Jiraiya knew. Now that Naruto is not here, I'd like to express my surprise concerning the results, said Sujiro, earning a nod from Jiraiya who smiled as he was listening to his friend. While I said that Chunin are only able to cut 15 times, I didn't say that he surpassed the Shodaime Kazekige, who until now detained the record for most cuts. Who is he? Jiraiya. How is this possible? Asked Sujiro, but Jiraiya was too stunned to even answer. Naruto having more potential than a cage-level ninja was surprising enough, but surpassing the Shodaime Kazekige, who was known as Suna's Case Tenshu, Wind God, was beyond anything he ever thought possible. I'm just as stunned as you are, actually. Naruto indeed held great promise in the future, but I never thought he could surpass a Kage in elemental manipulation, at least not for a good 10 years. And thinking about it, this number can increase after he masters the element, am I right? Asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Sujiro, who couldn't help but smile upon finding such a prodigy to pass his teachings to. I want to know more about him, Jiraiya. Tell me all his abilities so far and his accomplishments, said Sujiro, earning a nod from Jiraiya, who then invited Sujiro for a cup of tea for their upcoming conversation. After Sujiro made up some tea, Jiraiya began to tell everything about Naruto. He told about the boy's skills up to now, involving, of course, his uncanny ability to learn things faster with the Kage Bunshin technique. He told about Naruto's first C-ranked mission, where he along with his team faced an A-ranked missing nin from Mist, to which Sujiro was surprised to hear that was that time that Naruto learned the true power of the Kyuubi no Yoko. He also came to hear about the time of the Suna, sound invasion, that Naruto managed to save Konoha by beating Shukaku the one-tailed Jinchuriki. That was the only time I thanked the heavens that I was already retired, unless I would be dragged to this mess. At the time, Orochimaru lured Suna to attack Konoha, taking advantage that the Wind Daimyo was choosing Konoha for his missions. So, Naruto managed to beat the Yondaime Kazekage's son while possessed by Shikaku. What else? Smiled Sujiro, since he envisioned the next 4 months and the times Naruto will surpass every expectation set before him. There are many more accomplishments to tell you about. His team was responsible for freeing Snow Country and Takagakure from being taken by missing nins once. I assure you, Sujiro, the brat will surprise you a lot. He may not get it right away, but after practice, he will learn it faster than anybody else. The people in Konoha has much faith in his abilities in the future to come, said Jiraiya, to which Sujiro nodded, before saying that he now needed to prepare Naruto's training for the upcoming 4 months. Jiraiya nodded and went back to his room to take a quick nap. Due to escaping from Akatsuki's clutches, Jiraiya and Naruto weren't able to stay much time resting, being on constant move. Now that they would be safe for the upcoming 4 months, he could finally rest. Later, when dinner was ready, Naruto and Sujiro began to talk about some light subjects. Naruto learned that Sujiro wasn't very fond of talking shinobi while eating, so he kept the million questions he had in his mind to himself at least until tomorrow. Naruto confessed to both Jiraiya and Sujiro that he never thought about having a hobby, since all he did during his life was to train and eat ramen. However, Naruto couldn't help but be amazed at some different subjects that Jiraiya and Sujiro were discussing about. Their subjects began from a few jokes about the past to intellectual discussions about both the Fire and Wind Daimyo's lives and their respective decisions concerning specific toppings. Eventually, the conversation was over and all of them went to their respective rooms to sleep. Naruto, though, could admit that he didn't understand half the words that were being discussed. Nevertheless, he felt it kind of relieved of getting to relax from the ninja training, and it was a weird sensation for the blonde. Thinking about other subjects apart from shinobi related, was a strange concept for Naruto, and suddenly the word Hokage appeared in his mind. As he turned on the water for a quick shower, Naruto was trying to associate the daimyo figure of a big country like Konoha with the Hokage. Certainly, one being the ruler of the country and the other being the ruler of a hidden village. However, if the daimyo rules the whole country, then the daimyo rules Konoha as well. All these thoughts were in Naruto's head at the moment, and he couldn't figure the answer to these questions. Getting out of the shower, he got in some light sleeping clothes, not that horrible pajamas that he wore in the series, and went to a very comfortable bed. Introduction to politics was something the Ninja Academy actually covered, but Naruto never really paid much attention to the subject, even if the teacher, at the time, wouldn't explain it in terms he could understand. For Naruto, everything not connected to the shinobi way of life didn't pique his interest much. However, now the doubt about who has more authority in Konoha did plague his mind a bit. Naruto knew that Konoha provided services for Fire Country, since the Fire Daimyo would request a vast majority of missions to be held by the village. But, could the Hokage say no to the daimyo without consequences? The blonde was getting impatient with not knowing the answers to these questions, so he instead closed his eyes and tried not to think about it so much. The next day. Rising up early, Naruto was already at the kitchen making some breakfast when Jiraiya showed up, yawning from the nice sleep he had in ages. It seems you're eager to begin training as always, Naruto, smiled Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto, who settled a glass of orange juice to the pervert, who in turn accepted eagerly. Ero-sensei, I was remembering your discussion with Sujiro-sensei yesterday about politics and I was wondering about something, said Naruto, earning Jiraiya's attention. At first, Jiraiya thought he was still sleeping as he blinked a couple of times in front of the blonde. It wasn't just because of the subject, it was just because Naruto expressed interest in something else besides training as a shinobi. He issued Naruto to come forward with his doubt. Well, I was thinking about the daimyo and the Hokage position. I know that the Hokage is the ruler of the hidden village, but since the village is located within fire territory, then the Hokage answers to the daimyo, correct? Asked Naruto, to which Jiraiya nodded, before the blonde continued. My question is, can the Hokage choose to not to respond or would have to abide by the daimyo's wishes? Asked Naruto, before seeing Jiraiya smile. You're correct. Indeed, the Hokage must answer to the daimyo, however the daimyo has no saying in how the Hokage rules Konoha. Although, this doesn't mean that the Hokage is completely independent from the daimyo. You don't know this, but the daimyo has access to all of Konoha's legal documentation and shinobi records. Also, there are certain decisions that a Hokage alone can't choose, like the cage position itself. When a Hokage steps down, it's up to the daimyo to choose a worthy candidate for the position, who, then, will be submitted to the village's Chunin council for the final decision, explained Jiraiya, before seeing Naruto crack his brain for a while, before smiling in understanding. I didn't know you'd be interested in politics, Naruto, said Jiraiya. Well, it's not that it perked my interest, it was just a doubt of my own. I think all this information was covered at the academy, I just didn't pay attention that much. Thanks for explaining it to me, Ero-sensei, smiled Naruto, earning a nod from Jiraiya, before he heard footsteps coming down the stairs. I see you two are already up. Good. I actually thought I would have to wake you all up using some methods of my own, but that won't be necessary. Now Naruto, after we finish breakfast, I'll explain to you our schedule for your training. During your stay here, you'll learn everything there is to know about wind manipulation, and when I say everything, I mean it just that. I have with me over 50 years of study in the art, gathered in one major scroll which will be your friend for the duration of your stay here. This will involve not only practical exercises, but mental as well, since learning to control the wind requires knowledge and above all, patience, said Sujiro, before grabbing a glass to fill it with orange juice as well as some cereal in the fridge. Naruto for his part managed to see how enthusiastic Sujiro was and couldn't help but smile in retrospect to what the man said about his training. Once Sujiro finished his breakfast, he got up and ushered both Naruto and Jiraiya to follow him outside when they would be commence. They walked for a while, until Sujiro stopped and turned to set his gaze on his new student. Now, this will be your training ground for the duration of your training, said Sujiro as he motioned the youngster to look around a bit. The scenario was interesting, Naruto wondered. Lots and lots of trees filled the area, but somehow it was different than an actual forest and a small lake with a waterfall to his left. Naruto couldn't help but marvel at the beautiful scenery set before him. The water falling in contrast with the sunlight was an astonishing sight to behold. After some time wandering his eyes around, Naruto smiled and fixed eye contact with his new sensei. You have a nice home, Sujiro-sensei. I could just stare at the waterfall for months on end, smiled Naruto, earning a nod from Sujiro, followed by a smile as he turned to understand what Naruto sees in it. I suppose so. I've been living here for 15 years now, but it's a sight to behold, indeed. Now, I'll explain you what we'll be doing, and as I said before, I'll teach you everything I know. As you know or do not know, Fuyuta ninjutsu is, to me, the deadliest element in ninjutsu. Although it's chakra consuming, a wind user is feared throughout the elemental nations, simply because you can use it in close, mid and long range fighting. No affinity covers as much as wind. Now, Fuyuta divides itself in 3 subcategories, and you'll learn them all. First one of them is the wind itself. By using chakra, you can focus on increasing the power of the wind. Assemble hurricanes and even creating strong gusts of wind capable of tearing out trees from the ground with a simple blow. The second one is the wind slice ability. This type of power is most used with swords as it elongates the metal and also strengthens them to fight. Last, but not least, is air pressure control. The last one is the most advanced form of wind manipulation, and sadly to say, I can't teach you much further than the very basic. Up to now, only one jutsu was created by air pressure manipulation, explained Sujiro, before was interrupted by Naruto. Sujiro-sensei, may I ask why the third type is frowned upon? I believe it would be an advantage to control such element, asked Naruto, while crossing his arms, but this time Jiraiya took the liberty to explain. Air pressure manipulation requires too much chakra and too much concentration to be used properly, and in the midst of battle, the enemy wouldn't wait for you to do that. There were those who lost their lives in battle because of using a skill they weren't familiarized with. As I understand, you'll be learning the first and second abilities of Fuyuta Ninjutsu and leave the third one for last, said Jiraiya, looking at Sujiro for confirmation. Indeed, he will. First, though, is imperative that you learn how to use Fuyutan chakra and then we'll progress to a most advanced study of the art. Physical training will be held in daylight and when the sun goes out, we'll head back to read some material about Fuyutan Ninjutsu and its many uses. Any questions? Asked Sujiro, earning a nod from Naruto. Yes, I know that Fuyutan is an offensive affinity, but can we use wind for defensive purposes? Asked Naruto, to which Sujiro smiled. Just like every affinity, Fuyutan have both offensive and defensive capabilities. Of course, wind is more suited for offense, but it's also used to defend. I happen to know some techniques that serve for protection. Speaking of techniques, they'll serve as objectives to this training. They are 10 techniques I'll teach you during these 4 months. Of course, there are plenty other techniques, but I choose these for you to learn each one of the wind's capabilities. I'll reveal them as you progress in your training. Your schedule will be divided in 4. The first month will be to teach you how to use Fuyutan chakra how it's supposed to be. The next 3 months will be to teach you the 3 capabilities of Fuyutan that we discussed before. How is that? Asked Sujiro with a smile on his face as he could almost feel Naruto's excitement. Now, Jiraiya here told me about how you use the clone technique to practice faster, so we'll take advantage of it and learn the first aspects of Fuyutan manipulation. You see, that tree over there, pointed Sujiro, before seeing Naruto turn to meet the tree that his sensei was pointing. Sujiro grabbed a lowly leaf from the ground and ushered Naruto to look as he explained. One of the many aspects of Fuyutan Ninjutsu is to slice objects using only chakra, said Sujiro as he focused some chakra in his hand and showed the leaf being sliced in 2 before Naruto's very eye. You are to use as many Kage Bunshin and each practice this. At the end of the day, I want to see all these leaves sliced in 2, ordered Sujiro, before seeing the blonde make the hand signal for the technique. Instantly, a large group of Narutos appeared before Jiraiya and Sujiro, before each grabbing a leaf to practice, thus leaving the tree without a single leaf. Sujiro was astonished by the number, but when he looked at Jiraiya and saw that the perverted wasn't showing any signs of being surprised, Sujiro just waved it off and watched the clones attempting to slice the leaf. So, how long do you think he'll take? Asked Sujiro, before he heard a small snort from Jiraiya. Hard to say, really, this technique of his reduces time to large amounts. He won't need the whole day, though, that I can assure you, said Jiraiya, though in his mind, he had a conviction that Naruto would need close to an hour or 2 until one of the leaves is sliced. Throughout the training, Jiraiya would actually count how much time Naruto needed to fully grasp a technique, and even if the boy didn't focus so much in ninjutsu techniques, aside from the ones he already knew of course, Jiraiya was positive that with this amount of clones, it wouldn't take long for the blonde to scream the technique's completion with the same enthusiasm that Guy shows when he wins a challenge against Kakashi. Speaking of the blonde, there he was in the middle of his doppelgangers focusing on slicing the leaf in 2, however to no avail. Nevertheless, Naruto focused on the prime objective that was leaving this place with a considerable concept of what it means to be a true master of his affinity. The blonde understood the concept behind the Kage Bunshin method of training, so he knew that the training that he will be subjected to under Sujiro would, in normal circumstances, take years to accomplish. However, now was not the time to think of what didn't happen yet. He knew that eventually he will have to focus in other subjects, but right now his objective was for every one of his clones slice the leaf in 2, which meant that by the time they are done, the real Naruto will accumulate all their experience with this exercise. 2 hours passed and the Narutos kept on going non-stop with the intention of completing the exercise. Sujiro questioned Jiraiya about the boy's chakra capacity and wondered how could he sustain the Bunshins and work on the technique as well. The response, although unexpected, didn't surprise Naruto's new sensei. Sujiro already knew that with Naruto, a lot of surprises would come and that he shouldn't wonder the reason behind it anymore. So when Jiraiya said that Naruto already had more chakra than a high elite Chunin, Sujiro whistled, but otherwise didn't show any surprise to Jiraiya. However, all those thoughts of not being surprised any longer with the blonde disappeared when he heard the distinguished sound of leaves being sliced and turned to the clones. The sounds of leaves being cut was like a weapon shooting bullets repeatedly without needing to reload. Well, I guess I was right, he didn't need the whole day, you might as well introduce him to the next step of the training, before the sun goes down, advised Jiraiya, still finding amused to see Sujiro's stunned face upon seeing Naruto finishing the exercise in close to 2 hours. He has 1 month to train on the fundamentals of wind manipulation. Jiraiya, also we're not in a hurry here, so I don't see a need for him to waste chakra and fail to absorb the theory later tonight, explained Sujiro, before seeing Jiraiya nod in understanding. Suddenly, the clones vanished and Naruto appeared in front of the two elders, with a clearly happy expression on his face, which in turn made Sujiro smile in return. The boy sure has stamina, I guess he could have gone longer today, but for today is alright, he'll have plenty of time to practice. I can see you're happy, Naruto, but I wonder if you'll remain smiling once this training is over. Now, you'll finalize today's training with some physical workout. Jiraiya said that you're practicing with the bow staff, so practice some of the katas and then come back inside, ordered Sujiro, before seeing Naruto nodding with enthusiasm and remove a scroll from his holster in order to summon his new weapon. Immediately, the blonde closed his eyes in order to remember the many katas that were being drilled in his mind from practice as he was twirling the not-so-light staff with both hands. When he opened his eyes, Naruto focused his attention of imaginary opponents coming at him and began the dance. He began by thrusting it forward before grabbing at the end of the staff more maximum reach, before recovering and jumping to land a roundhouse kick at the incoming opponent who tried to attack him with a well-aimed punch to his face. Seeing two other attackers coming from the right, Naruto prepared defensive maneuvers for the imaginary swords that were constantly attacking the blonde in rapid succession. Naruto, then, used the other end of the staff and managed to hit one of the attackers on the shoulder before twirling the staff once more and landing a strike on the man's chin by using the staff to balance himself in the air while he used his foot right on target. The blonde practiced a while longer until fatigue reached him. He entered the house and went for a quick shower before feeling the sudden impulse to list some curse words to his new sensei. Right there on the table, was located a pile of books and scrolls that no doubt were meant for him to read them. Even though the blonde found reason to start reading books on shinobi matters, he wasn't entirely happy upon seeing a pile of books and scrolls to read. Suddenly, Sujiro appeared and smiled at the chance of getting back at him for surprising him a couple of times. Now, Naruto, like I told you before, at night you'll be studying the theory behind wind manipulation. Like all ninja art, beyond training, Fuyuta ninjutsu requires patience and knowledge, which is why after dinner, you'll be reading these books and scrolls here. The books contain the general theory whereas the scrolls represents the jutsus you will be learning throughout your time here. Do you have any questions? Asked Sujiro. Actually, yes, I was thinking about the leaf training exercise. I remembered reading about 2 necessary exercises to initiate in wind manipulation. What is the next one? Asked Naruto, earning a nod in understanding from Sujiro. The next one will be attempted tomorrow, but I see no ill in explaining to you right now so then you can prepare yourself for the task. You remember the waterfall outside, don't you? Asked Sujiro, before Naruto nodded and he continued. Well, basically, you'll be doing the same thing with the leaves, except now you'll have to cut a waterfall in half, explained Sujiro, only waiting for the same outburst almost everyone makes upon hearing the exercise, which much to his delight, came. How the hell am I going to cut a waterfall? This is ridiculous. How can I slice the water? Asked Naruto, earning yet another nod from Sujiro, but instead of answering right away, he thought of giving a homework assignment for Naruto. That will be your job to figure out for tomorrow. You see, in one of the books, lies the answer you're looking for and it will be your assignment to find the information and explain it to me, assigned Sujiro, before seeing Naruto frown and then went to the kitchen for dinner without even looking at Sujiro's face, earning a slight laugh from the elder shinobi who in turn understood why Jiraiya said it was fun to teach this brat. The next day The next morning, the same ritual happened once more. Breakfast and waiting for his sensei to arrive for the next part of the training. Naruto understood from the books he stayed up all night reading, the secret behind slicing the waterfall. The truth was that Naruto would draw a line using Fuyuta ninjutsu, cutting the current water from falling entirely, keeping the first half up the line with his chakra. The other half would fall freely, because it isn't being sustained by Naruto's chakra. Suddenly, Naruto heard steps coming from the steps and saw his new sensei. Naruto found it strange that Jiraiya was spending a lot of time in his room resting, but he stopped thinking once Sujiro asked him the question, to which Naruto responded. Indeed, wind chakra can slice everything, even water for a couple of seconds. By using wind chakra, you can slice the water particles, which in the waterfall case, the first half will remain suspended and the bottom half will let gravity run its course. Very good, now the theory is resolved, but we are still short of practicing it to see how you fare against the waterfall. This waterfall happens to have somewhat of a bridge right in front of the falling water, so you won't have problems with finding a spot. Now finish your breakfast and we'll begin right away, said Sujiro, earning a nod from Naruto. A few minutes afterwards, Naruto and Sujiro were standing right in front of the waterfall. The day wasn't sunny like yesterday, in fact it was a bit cloudy with the prospect of rain later on. This exercise is the same principle as the leaf slice exercise, but now you'll amplify the area and cut the entire waterfall. By completing this exercise, you'll fit all the requirements needed for the first techniques I plan to teach you. However, that won't happen until you learn to be proficient in using the standard wind abilities in the midst of a physical exercise. In order to learn wind techniques, you must learn how to use them adequately. Wind techniques require concentration and patience, so you can't do it while you're either not focused on the fight or in the middle of defending from an attack. Now, use the bridge there and create as many cage bunshin you feel necessary to be able to slice the waterfall in half, said Sujiro, before turning his back on Naruto and proceeded to walk back home. Naruto remained watching his sensei and actually wondered why the man wouldn't be around to see his progress on the exercise. From what he read, the waterfall exercise takes a long time to complete. Doesn't matter, though, Naruto thought. Like all obstacles set before me in the past, I'll overcome this as well. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, thought Naruto as the clones immediately vanished and appeared on top of the waterfall, before extending both hands and begin the exercise. With Jiraiya . Dressing in only a light blue kimono, Jiraiya was sure taking his time to rest and enjoy the time in Sujiro's home. He knew that the man would be taking care of Naruto's training, so he could rest all the time he wanted without worrying about Naruto being alone to train. Thinking of the blonde since they left Konoha really brought a smile on his face. Never before he saw such enthusiasm and drive to improve from someone, and Jiraiya was sure that Naruto would return to the village quite strong. He would even be amused upon wondering a fight between Kakashi and Naruto by the time he returned from the journey. Jiraiya was looking outside from the window only to see that it had starting raining when suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. When he turned, though, he was confused to see only Sujiro standing there, before he kneeled on the ground and fixed some sake for him as well. "Where is Naruto?" asked Jiraiya, displaying a serious face like he knew what the man did. "He is training at the waterfall. Don't worry about the boy, Jiraiya. He is old enough to learn that sometimes, you have to improve on your own, he can't depend on others to train his whole life," said Sujiro as he drank all the sake left in the cup, before pouring out some more. Jiraiya, however, snorted at the man from insinuating that Jiraiya lifted a finger to aid in Naruto's training. "You're wrong, Sujiro, if you think I helped him train. If much, I taught him 2 jutsus and how to counter Genjutsu. The rest it was all him. He was the one who perfected the Rasengan with one hand and learned to amplify it. He managed to learn on his own 3 very useful attack jutsus and even mastered a taijutsu style on his own. The bow staff katas, he learned by reading the scroll containing the movements. You don't need to worry about him learning how to improve his abilities on his own, he knows that already," explained Jiraiya as he got up and left Sujiro, who in turn smiled and looked outside at the rain. Jiraiya grabbed an umbrella and went outside to see his prodigy. The Sannin didn't know how long Naruto was trying the exercise, but he damn well know Naruto wouldn't be able to do it right away, no matter how much he improved his skills. Truth to his wonders, upon arriving, he saw Naruto and his clones attempting to slice the whole waterfall. Instead, all each Naruto could do was throw water to each respective faces, not managing much. The boy was persistent, though, and wouldn't give up so soon. Also, there was something in this drive of his that amazed Jiraiya. Even though there were quite some distance between the two, Jiraiya could very well see the look of pure concentration that Naruto displayed upon attempting the exercise. "You can do this, Naruto. Slice this waterfall in half and you'll proceed in this training," thought Jiraiya as he stood there while resting the umbrella on his shoulders. 5 hours later. After a minor rest followed by a soldier pill, Naruto continued once again. His clones were halfway there and the waterfall was already showing signs of being sliced any minute now. This was the time that Sujiro appeared next to Jiraiya. The rain already stopped and the blonde could now focus more on the task at hand. How much time do you think he will take to complete? Asked Sujiro, before seeing Jiraiya smile. Just about now, I'm afraid. The waterfall is already on the verge of slicing. The next one will do it, said Jiraiya. Suddenly, his guess turned out to be right as the noise of the waterfall slicing in half with wind chakra echoed through the clearing. After the clones dissipated, Naruto remained looking at the waterfall, as in looking at his accomplishment in Fuyutan ninjutsu. When he turned, he saw both Sujiro and Jiraiya looking at him from the ground, so he used a shunshin and appeared right in front of the elders. Congrats Naruto, in only 2 days, you managed to complete the 2 steps necessary to begin the real training. Now, I can see that you're exhausted, so let's back home to take a shower and then I'll show the jutsus you'll be learning from me, said Sujiro, earning a nod from Naruto, who then looked at Jiraiya, who in turn was smiling in acknowledgement. Naruto didn't need to ask, because he knew that look on Jiraiya's face and he only showed once Naruto managed to complete an exercise. Later at night. After a nice shower and an amazing dinner, in Naruto's mind, the blonde and Sujiro were now reading one big scroll that contained all the techniques Naruto would learn in 3 months. Although he wouldn't practice it for a considerable time, Sujiro advised Naruto to understand each technique's theory before attempting to perform them. The list of jutsus covered all 3 forms of wind manipulations and the scroll contained wide details of the techniques, informing the hand seals, chakra capacity necessary, jutsu level and, of course, how to perform. Naruto saw the jutsu titles and couldn't contain his smile to go from ear to ear. Fuyutan Daitopper, wind release, great breakthrough jutsu. Fuyutan Suidu no Tatsumaki, wind release, tornado tunnel jutsu. Fuyutan K's no Tate, wind release, wind shield jutsu. Fuyutan Repushu, wind release, gale wind palm jutsu. Fuyutan K's no Yaiba, wind release, wind sword jutsu. Fuyutan Kazakiri, wind release, wind cutter jutsu. Fuyutan Surezu no Tatsumaki, wind release, slicing tornado jutsu. Fuyutan Kaiten Shuriken, wind release, rotating shuriken jutsu. Fuyutan Juiaosaigan, wind release, gravity force jutsu. Fuyutan Atsugai, wind release, pressure damage jutsu. Immediately, Naruto proceeded to read the first technique with confidence that he would learn everything that he needed to, in order to master all these techniques in 3 months. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.